In this video, you'll learn how to connect to, create, and share AF databases. An AF database is the first level of organization within an AF server and can be considered a standalone container for any hierarchical asset model you'll build around a system of interest. So that's a rather general description. Let's look at something a bit more concrete. Here I have a database for my discrete manufacturing plants, and I have my Cleveland and Houston plants, each with their own hierarchy of production lines, and within each production line I have the specific equipment for a line. And of course, built around these individual assets, such as my cartoner here, I have all of the tag data and different types of metadata built into that model. Now when you open PSE, the easy way to tell which database you're in is to go to the title bar and look right here. So you'll see we have a double slash and then the name of the AF server, and then a single slash and the name of the AF database on that server. So in this case, my AF server is Vinkman and my database is configuration. Now we're in the configuration database, which is built into PyAF, and is definitely not the place where you want to start building new structures. This is used by the system itself for organizational purposes, and really only PySystem administrators that are troubleshooting an issue with tech support would want to touch this. So let's go find a database where we can build things. The way to access other databases or create new databases is to go to File and Database, or by using the Database button in the toolbar. So I'll press that, and you'll see this dialog, which might look familiar if you've watched the videos on connecting to servers. Here you'll see my list of available AF servers. In my case, I only have one. And you'll see that it's also the default AF server by this black circle with the white check mark in it. Now, below we have the full list of AF databases available to me on this server. Again, you'll see I have the configuration database that I mentioned earlier. Now, down below, you'll also see this database that has a combination of my PyData archive server name and the letters MDB, or possibly it would say module database. This is the database used by the AF Link subsystem on the PyData archive server. Again, this is another spot where you probably don't want to start building your new hierarchy out. So we've ruled out the databases where we don't want to be. What about the database where we do want to be? So perhaps you've been told that you need to add some assets to the HVAC test database. If you find it in your list, you've been granted read access to it and possibly write access to it. So you can click on that database, click OK, and it'll open up. And here you can see that I have some pre-existing elements, and I can go in and start adding more elements if I like. Now say you're the PySystem administrator and you want a new database to start from scratch for you to build stuff in or for your users to build in. If you go back to the Select Database dialog, you can right-click anywhere in the database list, and there'll be a selection that says New Database. So I do that, I can give it a name. Let's call it Test 1, and you'll see it appears in the list. I can also set this to my default database if I want by right-clicking, finding Set as Default Database in the list, and clicking on that. And now you'll see, once again, that we have the black circle with the white check mark indicating that this is my default database. So now I've created a brand new database. It's got nothing in it, it's a blank canvas, and I can start building. Let's say you want to move the contents of one AF database to another database. Perhaps there's another site within your organization that maintains its own AF server and would like to replicate your work. Or perhaps you've seen a demo through an OSIsoft class or found that there's an example database included with an OSIsoft product. You'd like to bring these into your own environment for further testing and investigation. Well, with the import and export features of PySystem Explorer, these things are possible. So let's say I have my empty database here called Test1, and I've heard there's a sample database included with PyOLADB called NewGreen that I'd like to use for further testing. Here you can see it's in the OLADB folder. It's called new green and XML file. Now all imported and exported databases from AF will be in XML format. So the first thing we want to do is go to File and select Import from File. Then we'll need to find our XML database file. Here I've already got the correct path open. Here's my new green database, so I'll select Open. Make sure I have the options selected that I want, so I'll allow to create new elements and other objects. Allow it to update these objects and do an automatic check-in at the end so that I don't have to check in all the work on my own. Go ahead and select OK, and you'll see it'll start importing all the different objects from the database. We're now complete. I'll close, and here you can see we have this brand new AF structure with all these different plants and all the different units within the plant and various equipment within each unit. So what if we wanted to export from our database to a new one? Well, we can do that by going to the File menu and selecting Export from File. We'll be exporting everything within this database to a new database XML file. You'll note that when the Export to File GUI comes up, we have multiple options to choose from. And if you hover over each one, there's a tooltip that explains its usage. Here I'll just go with some basic settings. I'll find where I want to export the file. In this case, I'll put it on the desktop, and I'll call it New Green 2. Hit Save, select OK, and now it's going to export all my items to the desktop. Now, if you wanted to do the same export from within one of the object views, you can always go to the library, select this top level object, which has the same name as the database, and this will also do a full database export. The last thing to point out is that you can also do export for individual objects, such as elements. Here, if I right-click on the Houston element, you'll see that I have the option to export just this element to a file. And one last thing to point out about databases is that they're all independent of each other. You can consider each database its own little universe, so that one database is not aware of any other objects or attributes within another database. This is important when you decide how to organize your AF server. If you have individual AF servers at each site with their own databases, you'll only be able to compare assets within that site. Whereas if you have an enterprise level server that looks something like this with the organization at the top, where each site has its own element, and underneath these site level elements, we have similar equipment. Here we have boilers from two different sites, and since they're based on the same template within the same database, we'll be able to compare them easily through PyClient tools.